space, too far from anything to be nothing, a blue light shines into the void. Through the shadows, shapes appear. People, stories, wonders, and mysteries. Live from Elgin, Illinois, the Blue Light Cafe, it's Tales by the Blue Light with your host, me, James Robert. This month, like every month, we're going to be calling in stories through this blue light. These stories come in all forms of wondrous science fiction tales, fantasy adventures, and horrors to make you shudder. So join us as we discover new places, new people, and take new journeys together by listening to this blue light like you might by the fireside. All the stories you'll be hearing today are brand new and they were written by yours truly. So if y'all like what you're hearing, put some in the chip jar or find me on Patreon. Or, well, if you're listening to this right now, I've got something going on Kickstarter that you might want to check out. If you've been listening to these 10,000 Dawn stories and like that, go look that up. Because we've got a book up there that we're trying to get started. But before we get to the stories we're doing here, as always, I've been trying to practice a trick for all of you. Alright, I'm going to shift us into another reality. Ready? Okay. Okay, cool. We're all there, and you just swap places with an identical version of you from a different universe. It looks like the only difference is they spell Berenstein Bears a little differently over there. Huh. Well, regardless, it's time to move on to our first segment. Today, it looks like we have a very special guest coming to us through the blue light straight from the 10,000 Dawns. We have Theo from Centro Systems Accounting in the year 2450. Wow, I thought we'd have someone more impressive here today.
It's okay, I get that a lot.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize you were already here. So, Theo, hey, tell me about yourself. You'll live 500 years in the future. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I actually live here in the future. I work for Centro Systems, the company that bought all the governments and all the other companies and all that stuff.
So it's the only company.
Yeah, and I work their accounts.
Great! So tell me some exciting stuff about the future. Do we have flying cars?
I mean, there are flying cars and jetpacks too.
Heck yes, you get to fly around, explore the skies.
Well, they're pretty expensive, and I don't make that much, so I just usually walk or take a car or Uber.
Oh, well, driving in the future has to be lots of fun. Cars must be super responsive.
Yeah, I kind of just tell the car where to go, and the computer takes me there. I usually take a nap on the way to work. It's pretty cool.
I feel kind of old agreeing that taking a nap on the way to work is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, oh, plus we have these things called food printers. They can memorize any meal or food and print it out on demand. So you can eat really fine dining or absolute trash for basically the same price.
Oh, that's also pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Doritos. Cool Ranch.
Right. Well, what about space travel? I mean, humanity's colonized the whole solar system, right? Have you been to the domed cities on Mars or walking cities on Mercury?
Yeah, I've been to Mars once. It was really cold. And they put, olives on everything. I mean, everything. Like, you want some nice sugary cereal for breakfast, like Frosted Flakes, they put olives on it. Ice cream, olives. They even have olive-flavored soda pop.
I mean, I like olives.
Do you like olives that much that you put them on your birthday cake?
Okay, come on. There has to be cool stuff about the future you're leaving out here. Something amazing.
I don't know. In the future, like everyone, they're just people. I mean, yeah, we have these big spaceships, and there's that ship we spent to explore the other galaxy and stuff. But
wait, another galaxy?
Yeah, but even in the future, not everyone wants adventure. I mean, I just want to watch the new series of Doctor Who and eat a nice sandwich with some Doritos.
Well, I guess that's fair. Thanks for coming by, Theo. Sorry for that. I guess I should have expected something fantastic. Well, I'll have a safe trip back.
Yeah, hey, it's okay anyways. I have to get back to my zero-gravity rocket boot volleyball practice. Bye.
Wait! Darn. Well, I guess he's gone. So I should get into our first story of the night. We're going to return to the universe of the 10,000 dogs and our serial story we've been doing these last 3 months. So, where were we? Previously on 10,000 Dogs, agents of the time traveling through dawn, Graelyn and Arch von Honorata have encountered their mirror universe forms in the form of Blanche Combine and Apollonius von Honorata, agents of another mirror group called Gus. While initially surprised by their copycat pairs at a concert for President Nixon, Graelyn and Arch quickly took down their foils in ancient accent, capturing them. Graelyn and Arch took them to the moment their mirror lives diverged, for Blanche had made a terrible choice, watching her home destroyed. And now, Graelyn and Arch claimed that they'll prove their whole ideology wrong by saving their whole universe. We'll see. So, let's pick up our story in the Dusk Cycle, Part 3. How to Unconquer a Universe in 3 Easy Steps. Conquering a universe can be difficult, but what many people forget is that unconquering a universe can not only be a rewarding experience, but one that's fun for the whole family, cult, or inter-universal paramilitary group. In today's lesson, we'll show you 3 easy steps to remove an invasive extra-universal power from ruling over a universe with a gold-plated fist. Take, for example, this universe. On 365, they were just going about their business until a bunch of black and gold-clad invaders called themselves the Great Assimilation popped through a portal from nowhere to come take their stuff. It's a bit rude, and we can understand why you might not want that. So, if you're a time traveler, how can you make sure you can get rid of a pesky armada capable of laying waste to eternity? It's easier than you think. So let's lay out our steps. Step 1. Make friends. Image. A man is in front of a TV screen. There is an exercise mat, and the man is on it. He wipes his brow. The TV, fancy for its time, but to us an extremely outdated and clunky box, has an exercise tape playing on it. One of those old black tapes filled to the reels with black, shiny, magnetic tape, like the wings of some infernal beetles. The tape crawls through the VCR that plays it, a machine that reads the tape and funnels the images through the vacuum tube behind the screen via wires. It has a gentle whir to its existence. The man is panting. He looks like he was once very athletic. Now he's only very fit. The man turns to look at another man wearing black sunglasses, lighter than beetle wings. Man, God, I miss football. You used to play football, didn't you, Eric? Man, too. I did, sir. Man, where at? Murray State. I wasn't very good, sir. The first man nods and returns to following the calisthenics on the screen. There's a woman leading the exercises, a scrawny thing in a blue leotard. Behind her, a group is performing the exercises in tandem with her. One of them is wearing a suit of armor? Like that can't be right. The man blinks. Man 2. Mr. President, is everything okay? The President. Yeah, fine, Eric. We recognize the man now. It's President of the former United States, Gerald R. Ford. Wait, not former for you? We're getting ahead of ourselves. Woman, and 1, and 2, and 3, and kick. Kick. Work that leg. That's right. Now the next one. The president follows the instructions on the screen. If a man could visibly display missing football on his face is the closest approximation. Woman. Okay, now for the arms. 1, and 2, and arms. You certainly have a long reach, President Ford. He stops. The woman continues the exercises. Don't be weak. Come on, get your arms going. He, against his better nature, complies. He looks at Eric. Ha ha, very funny. What a prank. Did Betty Ford put them up to this? Woman. Okay, good. You're listening to me. Your predecessor talked about me, I'm sure. The president gasps. Ford. You're the British one. The one with the blue... The woman sighs loudly and throws her hands up in the air, stopping the exercises. The rest of the group continues awkwardly behind her. Can you believe this? Every time. Armor man. Don't look at me. I hadn't even heard of the former. The woman gives him a look. Armor man. Of the regular persistent United States of America. Woman. Right, look. I'll cut to the chase. I'm a time traveler from the year 2475. That guy behind me, you think looks like he's an armor? He's a cyborg. Far machine, we're here on this exercise cassette to prevent a horrific future, and we need your help. The president stops exercising. He crosses his arms and narrows his brow. Ford. Why me specifically? You're a time traveler. You can choose any president. Woman. Right, well, Nixon wasn't very nice, and we didn't have a lot of luck with him. Cyborg. 'Cause he's awful. She looks at him and purses her lips for a moment before continuing. Because he wasn't very receptive to us. And we needed a president during the space age, and Johnson... She let out a sigh. Look, you're the best Liz choice, so I need you to help us out. Ford. What do you need me to do? Woman. You're going to found an international group with help of the Russians, the Chinese, and well, everybody you can get. You're going to prepare for some stuff 500 years from now. Ford. Relations with the USSR are... Woman. I'm way ahead of you. The premier will be calling you in 10 minutes, the first secretary in 30. We cut to a different image, briefly. Soviet leaders Kosygin and Brezhnev are sitting in a dark room, on a projector, playing a film on a screen in front of them. On the screen, a woman is clutching a swarthy Russian man, her back to us. Woman. Timmy, you can't go back to the front. Find an excuse. Man, I have to. They need me in Stalingrad. Kosygin. It's a good film. I don't understand why it was necessary for us to watch it. The woman on the screen turns around. She looks relieved. Oh, finally. Hi, Kosygin. What up, Brezhnev? So look, we need to talk. We return to Ford. He's focused on the TV. Ford. So, who are you? The woman grins. The tape stops, and we pull back. A group of people in black and gold uniforms have been standing around watching the tape we have just seen. The one who had played the tape, actually a file stored in a server pulled up from an old tape, looks back at his superiors. I'm not sure what you expect us to do about this, Lily 6. She tenses. Captain, I may be new at this, but isn't it unusual for time travelers to be interfering in planetary invasion plans like ours? I mean, she gestures around the control room they're in. It's strewn with bodies of Central System employees, Earth's corporate government. What if they're planning something? What if this is some kind of trap? The captain of the Great Assimilation laughs at her. Lily 6, you can't really believe this is a trick. We've taken over this building. We're the winners here. It's too late. Lily wants to stop talking, but she can't help it. This is their intelligence center. How could we take it so easily? The captain is getting angry now. He scowls. You need to learn your place, soldier. The whole command, aside from the admiral, have landed here to take control of the planetary defense systems. Lily 6's eyes grow wide, and her lips peel back over her lower teeth. Did you say the whole command, sir? I did. And the Great Assimilation will soon rule this whole universe. He had a whole big speech in mind, but the building exploded. Part 2. Bribe the Architect. 1300s China. The wind whips around the figure walking through the Chinese fields. He reaches the city gates of Nanjing and bangs on it. The guard approaches slowly. It was a loud bang, like a gauntlet. The figure below the gates is wrapped in a brown cloak, towering and broad-shouldered. It turns his head up, and the guard's heart skips a beat as one red eye glows up at him. Hey, the figure says, it's really windy out here, and I could use some tea. Oh, and I need to see the Emperor. The guards escort this strange giant at spear point to the feet of Emperor Zhuangzhan. The giant waves. Its face becomes a lantern. Hey, so I heard you're building a great wall. The giant pulls out a bag. The guards ready their spears, but he just dumps a pile of gold at the Emperor's feet. Thought it'd be cool if I got to make some additions. 2452. Earth. Sentinel St. John sat down at his wide mahogany desk. At the head of Central Systems, he was a busy man, but he liked his luxuries and small moments of quiet. The universe always likes disturbing those things, which is why a metal man fell from a spinning white disc that suddenly appeared over his carpet. You missed! The metal man called up. My bad! A woman's voice called back down. The figure rose. It was a cyborg in a trench coat. St. John reached for the button for security. Hi, Archimedes, I'm a time traveler and I'm here to chat. That was certainly a heck of an opening line, St. John. You know, it's willing to admit. Prove it? Archimedes screamed, and instead of a face lit up with a date. St. John frowned and pulled out his phone. He searched the date when he was 1 and found a baby picture with him, his older sister, his parents, and this cyborg who was wearing a party hat and holding up a sign that said time travel proof with a smiley face drawn under it. Okay, St. John said. Fair enough. He ran a hand through his spiky blonde hair and leaned back, straightening out his white suit. What do you want? Arch shrugged. You know the drill. It's the whole bribing the arbitrary trick. I'm going back in time to give you stuff so you do something so the future is different and better. St. John bobbed his head back and forth. I suppose if you can time travel, that's a pretty good deal. So what happens if someone goes back in time and bribes the architect before you bribe the architect? Arch sighed. What happens is things get very tedious. He paused. No one did that. Did they? St. John shook his head. No. So what do you want? Rudimentary repairs on the secret devices I hid near the Great Wall of China and other places like a millennium ago. You know, boring stuff. St. John stared in silence for a full minute. Wait, what? Russia, 2490s. Blanche and Apollo found themselves in a vast field of dry grass, looking up at a red sky filled with crystal orbs, linked by sizzling cracks of lightning. It was the end of the world. Welcome to the future, your own world, invaded by the Council, the Great Assimilation, taking over each universe in their vainglorious quest, the leader of dusk said to them. Is that Moscow? Blanche said, looking at the city burning below. It is. And right now, countless groups are trying to stop this battle, from dawn to the nights of sky to the firmament, and they'll all fail. Blanche felt her knees grabbing the dry grass. Blanche! She heard someone yell. She turned and scrambled up to see herself. Two of herself. One just like her, but wearing armor, and one with black hair, and 2 more Apollos. Hey, guess what? The black-haired one yelled. I'm more powerful than a fleet. She snapped her fingers, and all hell broke loose. In space, above the Earth, an admiral curses. He's seen enough. General Bravo was an imbecile. We're just gonna bomb the planet from orbit. He sits down in his solid gold command chair and rubs his nose. This wasn't going like he planned. What was the Emperor's he reported to say? With a sigh, he pulled up the command console when one of the sensor officers yelled something. What is it? He called back. Sir, something on the planet is rotating towards us with a really high power signature. He raised an eyebrow and looked out at the planet. That's an ancient monument from before the planet even had nuclear power. You can't even... Then the Great Wall of China lit his fleet up. Ancient weapons from the future, buried there waiting till that moment. Not all of them still work, but enough of them did. It was all they needed. The order was given to fall back, but that was when a hole opened up in the moon. The Admiral stared. You've got to be kidding me. Yes, Archimedes bribed the people who colonized the moon. He took them out to wine and dinner. It worked, which is why step 2 is important. Even if some of your friends let you down, if you've already gone back in time and bribed the architect well enough, you can solve a lot of problems before they start. Step 3. Avoid the cops. Both Blanches looked up at the sky. Blanche stared. You beat them. You really beat them. Graelyn tossed her hair back. What, like it's hard? The Blanche by Graelyn shook her head. You changed history in a big way. There are people who stop you from doing that. Archimedes pointed at the sky. They're invaders from another universe. A lot of people aren't supposed to be here, notably. Graelyn nodded. They'll probably even show up soon and try to fix things now that they're less scared of being blown to bits. It's just another trick in this game. But more importantly, you need to realize that you gave up too early, Blanche. It's not that this is hopeless. You saw the world then. We got it. The apocalypse is over. Young Blanche looked at her over self, weary and tired, and back at Graelyn, and the whole thing was getting confusing. You stopped my own past from happening. When I, disappear? Blanche whispered. Graelyn laughed. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. This isn't Back to the Future. Welcome to Paradoxes. I still did bad things, Graelyn shrugged. They never happened anymore. I still did them, Blanche replied. You did, so you can keep doing bad things, or you can take that guilt I see in your eyes and do something better. It's your choice. But we have bigger fish to fry. She looked at the cloaked figure. So, you're the leader of this dust group, huh? Real creative name. The figure shrugged. Graelyn crossed her arms. Well, it's the end of the line. You're coming with us. The figure shook their head, reached into a bucket, and pulled out a handful of portal dust, which it threw in the air. The air sizzled into a white disc, and the figure ran through. Graelyn sprinted after Arch, gave a gentle shove to their guests to follow. They jumped through the portal together, landing in a concrete wasteland. The sky was black and overcast, and tall metal things with long, spindly legs walked in the distance. The world seemed darker. Where are we? Both Arch and Apollo said in unison. The place dusk was founded, clearly, both Graelyn and Blanche cried. The figure in the cloak was ahead of them and had stopped running. They turned and stood their ground. Well then, I suppose it's time we all got this over with, had our little showdown. Archimedes pointed at the figure. You hurt a lot of people and made me go out to dinner with a lot of people I didn't like. The figure laughed. Then let's finish this. It pulled down its hood. To be concluded next month on Tales by the Blue Light. This month's Tales by the Blue Light is brought to you by Alp Cola. Tired of misleading soda pop labels? Raid Coca-Cola and wonder where that Coca is? While other colas have strayed from their roots, Alp Cola is the only cola regulated as a controlled substance in the United States. Alp Cola is guaranteed to give you that great cola flavor and also knock you unconscious for at least 3 hours. You can't buy Alp Cola legally, but what good comes from legality anyways? Alp Cola, for when flavor can't stop for the FBI. Now, we have this month's fantasy story, a little piece we're calling Escape from Messina. It's said that when the Lord of our universe put the wheels of the stars in motion, didn't balance Messina right. Our bad luck was out of our control from the beginning, of course. That is not only a fairy tale, but it doesn't make a lick of sense with how the universe was created. I suppose people don't call it the universe much anymore. Things have been so dark, and now all I hear is that we live in an eternal eclipse. I needed to get home fast. The thug, or rather the proxy, was there laughing and picking his teeth while my coughing parents served him. I hadn't wanted to leave. Samyaza, my sister, was there, and my parents were both sick with the plague. Nothing needed their medicine. I could feel the proxy's greedy gaze on me, even from the road, which was stupid, but feelings often are. I was carrying the medicine under my arm, all wrapped up in an old rag like it was something worthless, which was totally intentional as I dodged around the steely-eyed strangers who stumbled through the city streets. There was plenty of muck in the road, and plenty of people were in the muck. I muttered a sorry or two with my boot put down on some sorry soul I hadn't seen at first. I hated Messina. If I could get off this rock, I would. There were stars all around us sitting in the shadow of heaven, places with wonders beyond anything I could have imagined. But here I was, wading through the victims of Brask's plague. My sister showed me the stars, or rather the maps she made of them. It's better if it's on paper, she had muttered. I reached the door and cracked the door open. There he was, the proxy, slurping up the soup loudly like he was a pig. I shut the door open and he grinned at me, his eyes shimmering like rolling waves. It was off-putting, but those were eyes of a man who had sold his soul to a god. I can vaguely remember the days when the gods were glorious, though old folk laugh when I tell them that. Apparently, they were even more glorious in the ancient past, and even my first glimpse of them was their ruins. But what I saw then struck me to the marrow of my bones with awe. Brask was a brilliant golden man, shining with light, his teeth sharp as knives, and his skin having a slightly scaly sheen. He brought with him his consort, who had her own planet to rule, equally beautiful, if not more so, her long, flowing clothes moving as though she were walking through water, her skin literally looking at the surface of the sea. She smiled at me as she walked past, and I remember shuddering with joy. God had looked at me, and boy, I was a moron. The honeymoon did not last. After they gave us gifts, fattened up our king, and shipped in more wine than we could drink, the god Brask shined his sharp smile and offered us a deal. We accepted it too fast. Always read the fine print. I can't even remember what it was we were supposed to get in return, and whether or not we even got it barely matters at this point. Brask instituted the plague, a disease that we had to sign up for, one that could spread to any of us at any time, a virus that sapped our strength and gave it to Brask. I'm not even sure how the mechanics of that work. I'm a doctor, not a magician, but it clearly did. Slowly, people caught the plague, their strength sapped away, and Brask grew more powerful and mighty. The king encouraged people to have plenty of kids, and food was never in short supply, but the plague made our world hell. I only saw Brask once on this glorious walk down the streets as a child. I was called in to help heal his proxy who'd been injured fighting someone who apparently served one of the lords of the universe. That surprised me, as they had very successfully outlawed anyone saying anything about the outside world. But what surprised me more was the god himself. Brask was very clearly still very strong. Our bodies made sure of that, but he was also fat and no longer shining with light. No, Brask was now the color of the slop in the streets, coated in scales, and his mouth now more of a muzzle. "Get over here," yelled the proxy, whose name was Halseth. I rushed over and began to clean the wounds, asking for some boiling water. He'd clearly been sliced up pretty badly. He looked down at me, biting his teeth close together, and I wiped his blood up. It was a strange mix of red and black that did not merge together like oil and water. The god belched from his throne. "What on earth made that?" I said as I ran my finger down a strange cut that was glowing with light. Halseth turned his head down and screamed right in my face, his shaggy hair flying everywhere as he did so. "Mind your own business." I just have no idea how to heal whatever that light is. There was a moment's pause. "Sir," I remembered to add, "an angel hit me with killing light and only grazed me." He looked at the god, and I could tell somehow they were thinking at each other. Brask then said, "Fine, bring the physician some books, but don't ask me that again." And that was how I healed Braxy. I should have just let him die. And now, here he was, in my own home. "Ah, there you are, Solon," he said, knocking his cup of wine over so it splashed onto my father's shirt. "I've been waiting for you. Do you have what I need?" I nodded, trying not to meet his gaze, and handed him the package. I wished at that moment I had poisoned it. Good, just what I need. As a reward, your sister won't get the plague. That was not the deal. My mother and father were to be cured. He just laughed, shoved me against the wall, and walked out. My mother smiled faintly at me, that kind of smile that's supposed to be saying, "It'll be okay, son," but really says, "It's over. Save yourself." My father couldn't meet my gaze. Some Yaza was in the corner. I hadn't noticed her till now. There wasn't a scratch on her, but she was crying. I looked down at the table. The proxy had been using her map of the stars as a placemat. He'd drawn her being hung from a tree on it. I scowled. But I didn't throw a tantrum. I knew at that moment I was going to leave, and I'd be taking my family with me, whatever it took. Even if I died trying, it would be better than living here waiting for death. I was done worshipping Brask. That night, Samyaza and I went upstairs and prayed to the Lord of the universe. And the next day, I began my plan. I had only heard of Ezek Marthketh by rumor. I wasn't even sure he was real. but he was by far my best shot. I asked around, I paid a few street urchins for information and found him the next night in the true way in, nestled in a corner. I slid into the chair across from him as he was lifting a drink to his lips. Kind of rolled his eyes at me. Don't do charity work, kid. I dropped the bag of money I put together by selling pretty much everything I owned on the table with a clinking said, okay, you piqued my interest. I want to get my family off this rock. He nodded and leaned in so I could see his face. He had very dark skin, brown eyes, short hair, and a broad smile, which he proceeded to give me with a bit of incredulity. How many? 4 or 2? Why the discrepancy? It was hard to keep eye contact. 2 of them might not make it. He just nodded. I can get you out here tomorrow night. Be ready. Don't keep me waiting. I nodded and left. When I got home, I learned there was no discrepancy. Samyaza ran up to me to hug me, and I clutched her tight. I could see cloths clothing 2 figures on the floor. There was nothing left for us here, no reason to stay, no reason to follow the rules anymore. The arrangements for our parents were quick. Death was a fact of life around these parts, and the funeral happened that afternoon. Everyone had already been ready to attend. A few people had showed up a day early and complained my parents had been a bit slow. The world had come to this. After the funeral, we packed everything of value ourselves. The night came, the moon rose, and though I needed sleep, I barely did it all. Instead, I ran through the next day in my head, over and over, desperate for that day to arrive. When we awoke, we pretended it was a day like any other. Samyaza began her daily map making, and I visited a few patients, doing what little I could for them. When evening came, we huddled around the table and ate what we hoped would be our last meal in this forsaken world, saying our prayers in secret. As we were chowing down, I felt a tap on my shoulder, which turned out to be Ezek. It didn't make me feel particularly safe that he'd broken in here without it and still the same, but at least he wasn't an enemy. You need to be ready to go now. He somehow managed to bark at me quietly. I think that I'm still unsure how he managed. We're all packed, so how are we leaving? I asked. Which way are we sneaking out by? Samyaza followed up. You're not sneaking out, that's the problem. I get here through some business associates of mine, and they decided that making a bigger entrance might do them some good. Samyaza and I stared at each other. No way. He just nodded. An angel is coming. She and her troops want to see how the fallen anointed on this planet is. Anointed? Annotated? You really don't know what that is? We shook our heads. Come on, everyone knows what an anointed is. Nope, I'm afraid not, my sister responded. They're like, guardians of planets. Everyone has one to protect that place from outside danger. They each have some special powers. The anointed here, Alsep, betrayed your kingdom and sold out to make God Brask in exchange for some more power. And how exactly are rescuers going to arrive? Well, with perfect timing, as it turned out, a pillar of light and fire zipped down from the sky like it just opened up and revealed itself to the shadows. Running to the windows, we could see figures walking out of it. A group of soldiers led by a woman in armor, and at the head of them, another woman. She was glorious and otherworldly, like waking up from a dream and being unsure if the last thing you saw was real or fiction. She walked down the streets of the city, crying out, Halsa! The town guard charged up to her, but half of them fell to their knees. A quarter more turned and fled as they got too close, and the rest were almost casually knocked aside by the soldiers with the woman whose armor shone brilliantly in the light of the pillar they had run in on. That's amazing, I muttered. It's totally unnecessary. They could have come down completely silently. It's an orbital transfer mechanism. I stopped listening. Well, I'm sure Ezek's explanation was fascinating to somebody in the world. To me, it was distracting from the real show. From the other side of town, bounding down like a ball, came Halsek. The angel began to slowly advance towards him, drawing a long blade, which looked like metal, but light shone through it just barely. From behind her, the woman who had been leading the troops broke off and headed towards us. I stared at the 2 powerful beings about to clash ahead of me as she smashed down the door. I almost began to complain before I remembered I would never be coming back here. Are you Solemn and Samyaza Hanway? She shouted, her blades blowing in the wind that was swirling around the tower and pillar. Yes! I'm Henrietta Grey Shark. Follow me. She stepped out back. and we lifted our packs to follow, walking into a swirling storm of air and light. Even though it was night, the light was practically blinding. We had to hold our hands cupped over our eyes to see where we were going as the sounds behind us raged. I looked back and saw a blur of leaping, slashing, and clawing. Helseth launched himself in the air, his muscles straining beyond the limits of any human as the angel lifted him, swinging her sword magnificently. He clawed her and she slashed him, and in a way, the power behind their blows was terrifying. Helseth grinned as he landed on top of the roof of a house, smashing shingles off as he did so, and sprang up at the angel. She parried his dark, shadowy claw with her blade, only for his other hand to rake across her chest. The angel screamed and shoved Helseth down, but he just landed like a cat and leapt up, striking her again even harder. "Lady Rhea!" Henrietta yelled, but I could tell she wanted to head back for her as Helseth hit her again. Rhea burst towards us, her wings damaged, but still carrying her towards us in the light. Up close, her wounds were even worse than I thought. They'd be not deadly, but she'd be out of action for a while. We kept moving until the light was so bright I couldn't see anything anymore. I felt like I was floating. As I got higher, I saw the people on the ground become dots, and then the houses, and then the cities. I could see the whole world, a faded black rock against the sea of stars. Above my head was a vast ship, unlike anything I had ever seen, and a port opened up in it, ushering us in. "So, welcome home." Those were the first words spoken to me on my arrival in this place, and I knew once it would be our home. Rows of marble columns lined the entry hall in this new world. People bustled here and there carrying books, maps, food, and parchments. I set up as a doctor, and Samyaza found work in the library where she continued her cartography. We traded in the dark clothes of our homeland for the colorful ones of this fortress and made a new place for ourselves. "This isn't the end of your troubles." I looked up from my desk where I was grinding herbs to make medicine. "Oh, can we not stay?" "Of course you can stay," Henrietta replied. She was wearing a dress now with the sun emblazoned across the breast in gold. Her crossed arms still showing her ample muscles, her forearms littered with scars she didn't try to cover up. I thought she was beautiful, but I tried not to tell her that. After all, she was being all foreboding. "Your god, Brask. Brask is not my god. Sorry, Brask isn't done with us. He's going to attack the fortress. That's why we wanted to try to take out that proxy of his." She looked down at my medicine. "It wasn't fevers." She nodded. "Well, we didn't. And now Rhea's resting her wounds. We'll need to be ready there. We'll come back." I sighed. I was hoping we'd be safe here. She smirked, which was odd. "You're safe with me, I think. I'm handing you the sword. Anyway, I think I'm going to be putting a team together. We're going to plan a defense out. You want in? We need a medic." I need no hesitation. "I'm in." "Great. Your sister, Ezek, myself, Samyaza? You didn't think she'd let herself get out of this adventure, do you? Come on. The universe won't wait for us forever." Thank you. This month's Tales by the Blue Light is brought to you by a cup of cold coffee you meant to drink. Come on, you just need the caffeine, right? That has been sitting there for an hour. Does it really matter, right? Just drink it. You'll be fine. That cup of cold coffee. Actually, we were sending this advertisement. Tales by the Blue Light rejects any further sponsorship from the... Just in time to save us from drinking that, we're getting another signal from the Blue Light. It's broadcast from the middle of nowhere, Utah, in an abandoned missile silo. It's Monster Hunter Monthly. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Monster Hunter Monthly. I'm your long-suffering host, Magpie Jones. Now, if you recall, my beloved and golden child, talented brother Albatross left me with a dragon to care for here. A nice baby fire-breathing dragon that is getting bigger and bigger and wants more to eat every day. It's roosting on the abandoned intercontinental ballistic missile the U.S. government left here, and it is eating a ton of ground beef. Literally a ton. 1 ton. Oh, it sure was thoughtful of Albie to not leave me with a stipend for its food. But I digress. I'm sure this will work out okay. We have a report from a group of hunters in Kansas City, Missouri today. A report. We haven't had one of those in like a year. Wow. People really need to actually write reports. All right, March Law. Ooh. We've been following a creature through the museums of Kansas City. We're unsure of what it is or how it hunts, but we have found its victims. We've investigated several disappearances inside museums to find the victims were added to the backgrounds of paintings. They've been placed into the art static and unmoving, sometimes staring back at us, pleading, their faces merely paint and oil. We are unsure of our next step, but we'll report back next month if we have any findings. Well then, good hunting, hunters. I wish you luck. I have absolutely no idea what that is. Neat! Don't die! Alright, so today we're going to be talking about something a little off the beaten track. No, not leprechauns. Wait. Actually, I'm going to take a peek at my reader mail and see. Dear Magpie, our leprechauns were real. Great. Dear Magpie, I want to find a pot of gold. Dear Magpie, leprechauns, dear Magpie, I reached the end of a rainbow and all it was a bowl of sugary marshmallow cereal. WTF. Okay, I see how that is. It's St. Patrick's Day. Y'all want to know about leprechauns? Fine. We'll do that. We'll do leprechauns. Here's the thing about leprechauns. They basically just want to be left alone doing little forest dances and making strange appearances to travelers in the forest, and to have very large pots of gold that they store near places where rainbows show up. Here's the thing. Unless you go and steal their property, they're better than harmless. They'll probably sneak into your house and put an extra Guinness in your fridge. I don't even drink beer, and I have like at least 3 bottles of Guinness I'm not using because that's how leprechauns work. So anytime I hear a hunter is having some trouble with leprechauns, do you know what I do? I steeple my fingers and I look them in the eyes, and then I ask them when we're going to steal their grandma's life savings and go buy a Porsche. And then they're always like, what? And then I point out that the only reason they have a problem is they just stole an immortal forest spirit's life savings. And then we drive out to wherever they stole it from and leave the gold and whatever they bought with it like an Xbox there. Sometimes the leprechauns make them do community service, but really, they're leprechauns. They're not something dangerous like fairies. You don't want to mess with a fairy. So anyways, I'll save my educational topic I planned for today for next month. Okay, let's see if there is any reader mail we have that isn't about leprechauns. Okay, we've got one. Dear Magpie, do you listen to Katy Perry? Josh in Kentucky. Dear Josh, no. Oh, okay, it's sort of like firework, but mostly no. All right, let's see what we got here. Here's another one. Dear Magpie, last month you told a story about how you met a changeling with your brother when both of you were younger, and you let the changeling go, and your brother never forgave you. Did you ever see the changeling again? Wow, look at the time. That's all the time we have here for Monster Hunter Monthly. So until next month, hunters, stay safe out there, don't rob people with green hats, and don't die. This month's Tales by the Blue Light has been brought to you by that porcelain doll that always looks like it's staring at you. When you see a creepy porcelain doll on the shelf, do you think it's staring at you? It's not. We swear it's not. We swear its head isn't tilting just slightly to follow your movements. We swear it's not in a different position whenever you enter the room. And wait, how did it get there? You didn't move it. It must have been someone else, but they say they didn't. It can't be that doll, right? Creepy porcelain dolls. Trust us. You have nothing to worry about. Go to sleep. Nothing bad will happen. And on that note, we're in for our final short story of the evening. this month's horror story. This was a little tale we're calling Prescription. Benny was still trying to shove the vacuum in the closet when the doorbell rang. "It's Ken!" she yelled. "We know! He's been messaging us!" Cian yelled back from the family room. Shoving the vacuum awkwardly into the closet so it balanced at an angle on top of some boxes, Benny pulled her hair back behind her ears and put on a welcoming smile, then marched up to the door and popped it open like she was surprised to see their guest. "Oh, I didn't think you'd be here so early. Welcome." "Oh, I was messaging Cian on the way here. She didn't tell you?" Benny forced a bigger smile. "I've been busy getting things ready." "My name is Benny." She held out a hand. "I run this house." He shook her hand. "Ken," he replied evenly. Where can I put my bags?" Benny waved the concerns out of the air between them. "Oh, don't worry about that. I'll get the bags up to your room. It's just up the stairs. Why don't you go down the hall to the family room? Everyone's waiting to meet you." Ken smiled weakly and turned to do as she said, though he didn't leave his backpack with her. She shook her head when he turned his back. Kid couldn't even fake a smile well. Still, this was her job, and he'd feel better with some time away from civilization. She lugged his bags up the stairs, set them down, and opened each one up in turn, making sure to note how he'd zipped his bags and sealed each one. She searched them carefully, making sure he hadn't brought any contraband. He knew the rules: no electronics, no drugs, but plenty of kids thought they could get around the rules, and it'd be on her head if someone brought in something they weren't supposed to. The bags were clean, but she hadn't checked the backpack. She'd have to find a way to later. She wouldn't do it to his face, at least not yet. She had to wait till he felt accepted here. She carefully closed each of the bags, making sure the zippers and clasps were all in the same place, and hustled down the stairs. Cian, Kyle, and Mercy were all talking with Ken, and the four seemed to be getting along. Ken was smiling for real, which was a good sign. "I see you four are already getting along. Well, you'll just let this old lady take a few minutes of your time. I'll go over the house rules, and you can have the whole evening to get acquainted. For the rest of this summer, Ken, this is going to be your home. Though, through wholesome living, we're going to cure your mental problems. It's truly a blessing your parents sent you here, where we're all taking care of each other. Now, a few rules. First, no technology, no phones, no iPods, no Walkman." Did they even know what a Walkman was? She tried not to think on it. "Second, no drugs, and that doesn't mean just no hard drugs like crack cocaine and heroin and meth. No over-the-counter meds, no prescription meds. Your bodies can heal without those, and once you detox from all the lies that have been put into your bodies, you'll feel much better. Third, we will all eat our meals together, and there's a strict bedtime of 11 p.m. But I encourage you to go to bed at 10. Any rule breaking will be dealt with harshly. Clear?" She said all of that with as much cheer and joy as she could pump into her voice. The kids nodded. 3 of them had already heard all of this more times than they could count, so Ken was the only one who replied and spoke with a weak yes. She was disgusted at the weakness in his voice. She knew men were supposed to be strong. This generation was weak. They were doing things like protesting, standing up against things they disagreed with, speaking their minds. How un-American. They'd learn in time. For now, she left the kids to talk amongst themselves. "So, hey, why are you here, Ken?" Cian asked. Ken looked uncomfortable. It's complicated. It's okay, man. We're all messed up here," Kyle said. "I'm here because I get seizures sometimes. My parents decided my medicine wasn't good enough and the doctors were all quacks, so they sent me here, said it would fix me." Mercy jumped in, seeing Ken looked a little more comfortable hearing Kyle say that. I'm here because I have depression. When my parents split up, my dad got custody, and well, he's a little out there. Thinks the government's out to get him and stuff. So like a hippie, Ken asked? Mercy laughed. No, he's like a big MAGA guy. So he thinks the government he supports is out to get him? Yeah, look, I'm not him. Anyways, he said my meds were against God or something, so he threw them away, and when I got worse, he sent me here so I could be cleansed or, some shit. Ken looked back and forth between Mercy and Kyle. Has it worked for either of you? Are you feeling better? The three resident kids laughed, but it felt like the laugh of black comedy. The laugh of someone joking because, hell, what else is there to do? Absolutely not, Kyle said, and as he spoke, he tried to keep his voice cheerful, but it faded out by the end to a dreary lull. I've had more seizures since I got here than I've had in the last 5 years. Cian got out of the wing chair she was sitting in and went over to Kyle on the couch, sitting on the armrest and putting a hand on his shoulder. I'm no better either, Mercy said. Honestly, I've been terrified you'd see me in one of my my moods when you got here. I'm okay today, but that's more the exception that proves the rule. You feel me? Yeah, Ken said. I feel you. What about you, Cian? Cian smirked. I like girls, so I'm gonna help. I was supposed to get ungay here. It's not working. But I'm doing my best to make our host think it is. She sighed. I don't want to be here anymore. None of us do, Kyle added. But we're all here, so we need to stick together. Benny has this place locked down tight, and she has this strong man on call just a few minutes away, just in case. He doesn't live here, but I tried to escape. Cian finished wrong. He beat the hell out of me. Ken stopped. Really? Oh, don't worry, Ken, she said in a deadpan tone. It was for my own good. We all have each other, so, it's not as bad as it could be, Mercy said. So, it's okay. So tell us what's up. Well, he looked at the wall. There was a painting of a lighthouse, a wave gently rocking up on its side. I've got really bad anxiety. I always worry about everything, not just, I guess normal stuff. I worry all the time, basically. It was a gross oversimplification, but it would do for now. I'm sorry, man. Were you on meds? Yeah, I still am. For a moment he wondered if this was a test. If these kids were plants, and they were going to tease out the information from him, but if they were, they'd find out eventually, right? He felt terrified. His hand was shaking, but he decided to trust them. I'll trust them a certain amount. I also need to take my meds for something outside the condition. Cian shoved her glasses up to her nose. Oh shit, like life and death stuff? Yeah, Ken said. Did you leave them in her bags? Because she goes through your bags. Ken patted his backpack. No, I kept them with me. Cian got up. Okay, then we need to put them somewhere she can't find them. Come on. Let's go. I think I know a spot. The group got up and went to the sliding door. The house was in the middle of nowhere, with only a winding dirt country road leading to and from it. The backyard was carefully mowed and tended, and was bordered parallel to the house by a spanning forest. Cian led them past the grass into the woods, and they walked till they reached a tree with a hole in the trunk. Your hiding place. I'd say bury it, but that might take too much time to, get it up and out. Ken nodded. She was right. He took his pills out and placed the bottles in the hole in the tree trunk, then thought about it and reached back in and pulled the pill out and down it dry. Not quite on schedule, but he couldn't be too picky under the current circumstances. Great, Cian said. Now get ready for your wholesome lifestyle. Ken slept well that night, despite his anxiousness, and he wondered for a little if coming out here really would help him for a moment. Then he went downstairs for breakfast. The kids all cooked, while Benny waited at the table, scrolling through her phone, which she still had, naturally. The food was pretty good, but they had to follow really strict table rules, and you had to ask for everything to be passed, and Benny would slap her hand if you just reached for anything. After they finished, which really meant that if they hadn't finished by the designated time the meal was over, they simply had to stop. Mercy seemed to struggle as she was a slow eater. Benny brought them into the family room where she'd rolled out yoga mats. First, they sat down and prayed together for half an hour, and then they started to do yoga together. It went well for a while at first, but then Kyle fell down onto the ground, his head knocking against the floor, his limbs stiff and shuddering. The other kids ran to him and took care of him. Ken felt his chest clench, his breath leave his chest. He wanted to leave and run, but also felt paralyzed. He heard Benny sigh. When in time, Kyle's episode had passed, Benny tried to resume the lesson. "He can't do it, Benny," Cian said. "Don't speak for him, Cian," Benny replied. "He's a strong boy. He can do that himself." Kyle looked like he'd been hit by a truck. His eyes glanced over at her, and he tried to speak, but his mouth failed him. Benny scowled. "Well then, no dinner for you tonight, Kyle, until you get the inner strength to stop having seizures. You might need tougher lessons." "I suppose the lesson is over for today then." Ken felt his body churning. He needed a pill. He needed to get out to the woods. "You all need to make sure that you're living a wholesome life. You need to get over your reliance on medicine. Nature is the only drug you need." "I'll let you think on that." She got up and left the family room, slamming the door shut to her own room. Can you spare me?" Ken asked shakily. Mercy lowered her eyebrows. "You okay, Ken?" "I need a pill." "Yeah, go get one. We've got Kyle. You're okay," Cian replied. Ken got up, and as quietly as he could, he slipped out the back door. The dew was still on the grass. As he walked across it to the woods, he hadn't put his shoes on to avoid making noise, and his feet felt freezing by the time he reached the woods. Then they hurt. The twigs and rocks stung with every step he had to get going. It was too important. He got to the pill. He needed the pill. He needed his medicine. He felt the pain in his chest already and his heart racing. His skin was coated in a thin layer of sweat. He was almost at the tree. He could see it. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. "Just a little further, Ken. You just have to take the pill." He reached his hand into the tree, and he felt his hands wrap around a pill bottle, and then he was pulled back by the scruff of his neck. "I thought you'd smuggled some contraband in here," Benny said, clawing the pill bottle out of his hand. "Now we'll get rid of this poison for good." Ken struggled with her grasp, trying to reach for the bottle, but she shoved him to the ground. When he got his head up, she saw her take the lid off the bottle and throw the pills into the brush. "No. You don't need those. You just need trees and sunlight. You need to bring yourself back to nature. Remove these toxins from your body. The pills are what's making you feel bad." Ken began to cough on the ground, his back spasming. "Ken, this is just the first step. You'll feel better soon." Then she stopped talking and stared. He shook, his whole body rattling. His bones felt like stones inside him. He opened his mouth and he felt his eyes split in two and then split in two again. His ribs pulled away from his chest and elongated, unraveling, spindling out into 8 bloody bone-like legs. His jaw began to split down the middle as he begged, I need my medicine. And then it spread open into a spider maw, howling at Benny as the Ken creature moved one bone leg towards her and then another. The legs raised Ken up, so his torso was 8 feet off the ground, his human limbs dangling below the thing, vestigial and aimless. Then it charged. Benny could only turn and run as the thing barreled after her, its legs proving sharp, slashing down small trees and brush in its path. She scrambled until she reached the lawn and broke into a full sprint. She reached the glass door at the back of the house and slid in, shutting them quickly, for all the good shutting a glass door would do, she thought. The 3 other kids looked up at her, panting and flushed. "Go upstairs," she yelled. "Kyle isn't ready to be moved." The creature smashed into the glass, which shattered everywhere, but caused the creature to stagger back in surprise. "Run!" Benny said. They bolted up the stairs, pulling Kyle with them as the creature pulled its way inside. It stumbled into the living room and turned around in a circle as if confused by its surroundings. They ran into the first room with a solid door, Ken's room, and slammed it behind them, pushing the furniture up against it. "What the hell happened to him?" Cian cried. Benny responded. She just pulled out her phone and called for help. Devin had been waiting for another call for weeks. But this one was different. Usually you just had to scare the kids, and most you had to rough up an unruly teenager that didn't know their place. This time Benny sounded crazy. He's some kind of monster, Devin. He sipped his beer. What do you mean, some kind of monster? He's like some spider or something. He has us trapped up here on the second floor. Yeah, look, I'll be over there soon, okay? Bring guns, Benny said. Oh, well, he wouldn't say no to that. About half an hour later, he arrived at the house. A bunch of the first floor windows had been shattered. One of the kids must be on some sort of emotional rampage. He checked his pistol and headed for the house. The front door was locked and the windows were too broken to climb through without slashing himself up. But the back door had been totally shattered. The view inside through was something else. There were webs everywhere. They lined the room like the place had been deserted for years. He stepped in and tried to brush the webs away, but they stuck to his hand. He tried to pull away, but he ran into another patch of webs that stuck to his back. He pulled and struggled until he felt a raindrop on his shoulder. He looked up, and there, jaw spread open, was Ken, who dropped from the ceiling as Devin tried to lift his arm to unload a clip into him. Did he get it? Mercy asked, shaking. I don't know, Benny said, and took a deep breath. I guess I'll have to check. She got up and carefully moved the dresser that they pushed in front of the door enough that she could pull it open a crack. She peeked out at the living room. She didn't see anything, but there was a blood stain on the floor. Then she saw a sharp bony leg come at her face. Mercy screamed as Cian ran forward and slammed her body against the door. The leg wiggled, trying to squeeze through the gap, but she kept pressing and pulled back, and she shoved the door closed. She looked down and then closed her eyes when she saw the place where Benny used to have a face. Oh my God, Mercy wept. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Stay calm, Cian said, though she did not feel anything close to calm. He has pills for this, right? He said he needed them. We can get those from the woods. He'll kill you. You can't leave through the door. Cian pointed at the window. I'll climb out through there. You'll leave us, and I can't leave Ken. He can't move right now. Cian took a breath and held it and let it out slowly. I'll come back, please. Just trust me, Mercy, okay? Mercy nodded, and Cian began to take Ken's bed sheets and tied them together into a escape rope. She climbed down slowly, trying to be as silent as she could down the side of the house. She crept around the side of the house and started her way across the grass to the forest. And then she heard it. She turned her head and saw the creature staring at her from the doorway. She ran. It tore across the grass after her, blade-like feet tearing up the lawn. Cian stumbled through the foliage, the thing stumbling through the woods behind her. She saw the tree. She was so close. She reached it and put her hand in, and nothing. The implications of that hit her hard. The thing nearly hit her just as hard, but she pulled her hand from the tree and scampered away as it rammed into the trunk. It turned in a circle to face her and cried out, rearing up on its back legs and jabbing down at her with her forelegs. She rolled away from the stabs, and then she saw something in the foliage. A pill. A single blessed pill nestled on a leaf. She picked it up, and as the thing opened its mouth to screech and howl down at her, she picked it up and threw it. It flew into its too wide maw and hit the back of its throat. It hacked and choked for a moment, and then swallowed the foreign object. She'd expected some kind of painful transformation, but the limbs simply pulled back into Ken's chest gently, and he was set down on the leaves in the forest, like he just settled down for a nap. She rushed over to him. Ken? Ken, are you in there? Are you okay? He opened his eyes. Cian? What happened? But as he looked down at his own ruined clothes, he knew. Did I hurt anyone? She pulled him up. Come on, Ken. We're finding some more of your pills, and we're getting you home. This place, it's no place for us. Slowly, the two of them stumbled out of the woods. The four of them had a long journey ahead of them, but they beat it together. So we always end off our shows with a little radio play, and tonight is no different. So welcome up our producer, Chris Mao, who's going to help me. All right, so our final piece of today is a little radio play piece we're calling Leprechaun.
Excuse me, sir. Can I have a moment of your time?
No. Or you could just slide in the seat across from me, even though I said no, or that.
Thank you. Have you ever wanted more than your current life? You look like an enterprising young lad. An innovator, a risk-taker.
Yeah, no one actually ever says that about me.
Well, Looky is my name, and look is my game. But I may be needing a wee bit of your help to change that.
Oh, really? I'm just going to keep finishing my coffee and hope you leave, but please continue.
My family gave me a lot of wealth as an inheritance. But I can only get it if I get some wealth myself to put up as collateral. They're very, very picky about it.
So what, you're some kind of Nigerian prince?
A Nigerian prince? Of course not! I'm Irish. Just look at me.
The all green shamrock pattern tie and plastic top hat didn't give that away, that you'd at least been to the holiday aisle at the dollar store.
I have been... Well, I've been spotted. Can you just throw me a few $1,000s? I can make you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams.
Wait. Where is this money even supposed to be coming from? Who are your parents? This, frankly, obviously a hoax tale.
That's the hard part. My dad was a mortal man like you, but my mother, she was a leprechaun. I'm a leprechaun. Hey, it's not funny. I'm an outcast stuck between two worlds.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is so amazing. This story is ridiculous. I'm kind of impressed, honestly. Usually people try to make their scams, kind of like plausible, but this one, wow.
This isn't a scam. If I can even fill the tiniest pot with some gold and put it under the rainbow, I'll get my mother's cauldron of gold. I need just a little loan, and I'll share my untold fortunes with you. You can't even believe how much wealth there is in fairyland. It's like crazy.
I'm sorry, pal. Look, you need some help, and you should find a better place to do this than a Burger King. Look, here's $1 amount. Peace.
Hello? Grandma? No, I ain't no luck yet. No one will give me any gold. I don't understand. I'm offering them a fortune. Why don't they do it? Yeah, I'll keep trying. I love you too, Grandma. Yes, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you to all of you for listening. Our producers are Rob Southgate and Chris Mount, and this show, as always, is written and performed by me, James Weiler, live at the Blue Box Cafe. Do we have any...
We do. Again, thanks guys for coming out. Thanks for listening on Facebook Live. If you're listening on our podcast, thanks again. Please support James if you can. He's got a Kickstarter going for his book. He's got Patreon. He, does a lot of great work, and I think we should support him. Also, we're here every third Saturday of the month doing Tales by the Blue Light from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central here at the Blue Box Cafe in Elgin, Illinois. We also do live at the Blue Box every second Saturday of the month from 6 to 8 p.m. Check our Facebook page at Blue Box Cafe or at Live at the Blue Box or Tales by the Blue Light for that information. And then the other nights of the week, if you're here in Elgin, we do Elgin Tabletop Gaming Group, and they go from 5 to 9 if we're not doing one of these two events. So we've got a lot going on. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for doing all that stuff, and I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
So that's all for tonight from the Blue Light. Come back next month, and we'll be sure to offer you more tales of the fantastic, the darkest depths of your horror, the brightest flights of your fantasy, and the biggest dreams of your future. From all of us here at the Blue Box Cafe in Elgin, Illinois, Keep your blue light shining, there's plenty more to see.